How you guys doing? Back on another episode of Black Hole Podcast.
Black Hole.
That's how we're doing it. Got my man, Tim Rudd, over here, running for the mayor of Syracuse. Got him on the show. One of my good friends. We actually known each other for a minute.
2000 Black Nights.
That's right. 2000 Black Nights. Wow.
25th anniversary this year.
You know, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, we went to high school together. He played sports. I played sports. That's how we know each other. And what middle school you went to?
Huntington. I went to Huntington.
Huntington. Okay, so do we know each other from high school?
Yeah,
high school and beyond.
High school.
So it's nuts. It's crazy how I've known this man is running for mayor, and I've known this man since we were teenagers. It's crazy. That's how I feel old, but then I also feel like, proud that my friends.
It's not like I just decided to run for mayor. I mean, not for nothing. I was our class president our senior year.
That's right, you were. Yeah, and Jimmy was another friend of ours that's running also, was valid.
And Jimmy was in our classmates, so we got two Black Knights. You know what else? Syracuse has never had a mayor who was a graduate of the Syracuse City School District. Never.
For real?
Never.
So,
never happened. We're run by the people outside the city.
That's crazy.
They come in and they run all this.
I did not know that. Yeah. I thought every mayor that ran in the city was from this city.
Well, they live in the city when they run for mayor, but they're never of the city, so to speak. Wow. Almost never.
That's crazy. See, a fun fact that I never knew. So this is something I know now.
There you go.
That's what's up. So let's try
25 years is a long time. I was listening to a lot of rap music over the course of my, since November with all this stuff.
November of last year,
because that's when all this stuff started for me.
So who were you?
And there was all this stuff.
So who you were listening to?
I was listening to all kinds of stuff, but I made a list actually because I got this idea that it was going to turn into a big podcast, and I wanted the right tracks for in between music. Big Pun, It's So Hard.
Okay.
Absol, Do Better. Do Better is like an anthem, bro. You know Do Better?
No, play it.
Oh.
Play it.
And it's like a powerful video because it's like the first time I saw it within 20 minutes of it coming out. You know, Absol, part of Kendrick Lamar's crew.
The know-it-all that's always wrong, but I be claiming I'm advanced. It's my second chance.
But my kids sing this stuff all the time. Like in the car, it's like our anthem. And it's confusing for them because it's like he's fallen, he's basically committing suicide in the video, but then he gets saved by his family. Right?
Okay,
the family
gotcha.
Kind of gives you your basis for life. But it's got this really solid, just you can nod your head to it all day. And the whole anthem is just
And this is your and this is your
I gotta do better. It's like a song for men who need to work. That's how I view it. I sent it to a bunch of people when it first came out. But that was one, but almost like an evolution of stuff, right? And then a whole bunch of Nas.
You're talking about old Nas or the new Nas?
Get Down, One Mic, Street Dreams, Last Words, Hate Me Now, Favor for a Favor. Then it was Tusi, right?
Yeah.
Pop Out, Lil TJ, Lauryn Hill, Mystery of Iniquity, a lot of David Goggins.
Okay.
Well, maybe more David Goggins before all this, but Kendrick, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, Stormy's Hide and Seek, Mac Miller, Self Care. Kanye, Ultralight Beam, Drake, Pound Cake, Meek Mill, 1942.
So it's everything that you've been feeling.
All this stuff, just whatever's coming through. You know, the algorithm connects to your life in a weird way now. It's almost like it knows what you want to hear, and then you put it in.
See me, I still deal with the old Jay-Z. I still listen to a lot of Jay. I'm just like an old head, so. It's a lot of Jay. It's a lot of old Kanye.
Ooh. Most recently, I've been doing Tupac,
yeah.
And Nipsey Hussle. See, I never really got into before.
Yeah, with Nipsey never, but with Tupac, yeah. Tupac's the man.
But now there's all this fusion. They lace Tupac with Nipsey. It's wild. But It's wild too because he got basically murdered in front of the store. He was like buying the block in the neighborhood. So he's like an interesting person. And Tupac, I was thinking about this. We were just talking about we've been out of high school for 25 years.
Yep.
Right? I might get it wrong, but Tupac was 25 when he died.
Yep.
And Biggie was 24. That to me is it's crazy.
It's crazy because
like all they did in 24, 25 years. I go, man, wait till you see how much I do the next 7 or 8 years. Like, I'm putting the pedal to the metal.
That's what's up. I like that. So, all right, the floor is yours, man. Tell me what's going on. Tell me, I know.
We knew each other since Henniger, so let's go. We went to Henniger.
Yep.
I got to go to SU, right, on the Syracuse Challenge.
Yep.
It's kind of like Say Yes before that. And a bunch of kids went to Henniger. From Henniger, went to SU. Not a lot of us finished. No. I finished.
No.
And I got to study abroad. Like, I lived in France for a semester, I lived in Spain for a semester. I got to leave Syracuse, right? And I got to live in Syracuse, in a different part of Syracuse. I didn't go to Syracuse University ever as a kid. It was like a foreign land.
Yeah.
Right? And then it felt like I left when I got to go there because I got to live in the dorms. So I was like, I went home once a week to have Sunday dinner with my parents.
Yeah.
And I just went, I'd go home, I'd like drop my laundry off, do my laundry and get dropped back off. See them next week. But it was good. So I got to see the other side of Syracuse. So a lot of people kind of look at Syracuse University as almost like a leech. But I definitely think it's a major asset for a lot of people if you're in a position to take advantage of it. There's just too many people aren't.
You're talking about the Say Yes program.
Any of it, like even if you get the financial assistance, you don't necessarily have the academic preparation to succeed.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people get there and they don't last too long.
Yeah. No, right? You're not lying. My cousin went there. My cousin came from the city.
Yeah.
Went to SU.
Even Aaron. Like we were both friends with, I think, Arvi.
Yeah, Arvi. Yep.
And I remember walking to SU the summer before we went there, and he didn't know the difference between a loan and a grant. He thought the loans were free. And I was like, do you know that you gotta repay a loan? And it's like the basic things the city kids don't know, right? And then he got to SU and it was harder for him because I think he just got out the wrong crowd and then he didn't last too long and made his own way, but eventually graduated and stuff, but living in New York City.
Okay.
And has done good, but it's a hard path. Anyways, SU, then I kind of worked, I always did community stuff at SU. Like I worked for the literacy corps, so I got to be a tutor in the schools and all sorts of stuff. So I kind of did that like the summer after I graduated. And then I drove cross country in a minivan for 2 months. And then...
How was that?
It was great. It was like gas was 99 cents a gallon. My girlfriend's parents let us use their minivan. We like had a mattress in the back so we could sleep in like national parks. And we went the whole crisscross the whole thing. And then I think I spent $2,000 for 2 months.
Damn.
The whole time. It was like all the money I earned, I spent with that, but I was thrifty, right?
But then on top of that, though, you get to see the country. You know what I mean?
Stuff.
Yeah.
I got to see stuff. And then I came back. I had applied to be a substitute teacher before I left. So as soon as I get back, I start subbing.
Okay.
And I had a 4-year degree. So I ended up being a Spanish teacher at Roberts because the Spanish teacher goes on maternity leave.
Okay.
And I do that. And I made money, like it was like because of the way the union worked, I got paid as a teacher. So I felt like I was rich in a way. Like I was making $38,000 a year, but
back then
it felt like I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I did that till the end of the school year, and then I took the money and I went to Argentina, and I lived in Argentina for 5 months in Buenos Aires, like the biggest city.
Yep.
Spent all the money, came back, got another job. Actually, I went to Chicago for 2 months and kind of like slept on a floor there for a while, and then I came back to Syracuse and started subbing again. And within a couple weeks, another Spanish teacher got pregnant, went on maternity leave, and I taught Spanish again. And I basically applied to graduate schools, and I applied to a bunch of different places, but I ended up getting into Maxwell at SU and getting a good deal. And so I went to Maxwell. I got a master's in public administration, and I did like state and local finance. And then my whole thing with Maxwell was like, when I applied, I was like, I want to go to Maxwell because it's the best school. Then I want to go to New York, and I want to like get good experience in New York. And then I want to come back. I want to create like a redevelopment company. I want to run for city council. And that was kind of like the extent of my essay to graduate school. And that's basically what I did. I graduated. I got a job in New York. I got a job as an analyst in the mayor's office of management and budget for Mike Bloomberg.
Okay.
I did that for like 3 years. Learned a bunch. and like oversaw like $1 billion budget, like the Department of Correction in New York City.
Okay.
Like New York City is just so much bigger, but it makes it so you learn the skills, you learn all the stuff. And I did that because I never wanted to be owned by anybody here, because I felt like this was a very corrupting environment. And I'll give you the example because we went to Henniger, we had all the Mayoral connections, right? Like Karen Mayoral was my French teacher, and so her husband was the assembly person. So I would do stuff. She would ask me to do stuff because I was in student government, and even then, I remember I helped a little bit, and I went to a meeting at that point. It must have been like probably we were seniors, and they were talking about what to do with the ice skating rink at Sunnycrest.
Okay.
Because it needed like a lot of money for repairs. And they had this idea to turn it into a lacrosse stadium because they wouldn't have to have the ice. And I don't remember. I stood up and I basically said I thought they should keep it an ice rink. I think.
But they
pulled me
rink.
to the side. So I was like no pay, had volunteered twice.
And
they pulled me to the side and they say, if you're gonna volunteer here, you're not allowed to have public opinions.
What?
And I was like, whoa, I'm 18. Like I folded some stuff for you. You don't own me. But anyways,
and not just that, you know, you like you said, you're 18 years old. You know, you should have some type of opinion of what's going on in your city.
But it really
and
set this
school.
really clear expectation of everyone here is tied to someone else.
Yeah.
The way you get the job is the connection to someone, and then you're beholden to that person who got you that job.
Very
and
true.
That is all over here. Anyways, so I did it different. I went to New York. I worked there for a while. I actually, after 3 years, I came back here and got a job at the school district. Worst job ever. I was the assistant budget director. Very bad job. Very stressful environment. 3 months in, I walked in. I was like, I don't think I'm the person for the job. I'll stay as long or as little as you want. And the lady who was my boss, who was not great, was like, I'm a clean cut kind of lady. And she's like, get your stuff, I'll walk you out. And I was like, no problem.
Okay.
And I left, and within a month, I had a job back in New York City working for a social policy research organization as a cost benefit analyst. And I basically worked there for 7 years. The first 4 in New York and the last 3 remotely from Syracuse.
Okay.
But it was like right in Manhattan, 300 person organization. Like half the work came from the federal government. They're basically an organization created by philanthropy in the 70s to study the effectiveness of anti-poverty programs in the 60s.
Yeah.
So they do random assignment evaluations of anti-poverty programs.
Okay.
And so my role was to look at that and say, does it make financial sense? So how much did it cost? How does that compare to the value of the economic benefits? Does this make sense to do? Which got me to look at a lot of different things. A lot of things don't work. Most things that politicians talk about don't make a real difference. Like if you actually study it and you say, this random assignment, flip a coin, you get the program, I don't. Track our outcomes, are the outcomes different? Very, very rarely do they make an impact. And then even more rarely is it replicable. Like you could do it again.
Yeah.
Like if you did it a second time, usually the impact goes away. But this is like the illusion of the government addressing poverty. Like in the end, if you think government is going to help you not be in poverty, like you're trapped. Like I just don't think there's a role for government, and that's why I'm interested in government. And I've always been passionate about government because there's certain things that we just kind of have to do together, or that make sense to do collectively.
Yeah.
Like you don't want private trash. Like look at right now, trash in Syracuse is a mess in a lot of ways because they put all these restrictions. So houses with more people have more trash. It's hard for them to get rid of it. They end up stacking it on the side of their house.
Correct.
Which creates like a health problem for the whole community, not just that group. So that's like a case where you just got to get their trash. And if that means like they get a free ride in a way by throwing out a little more trash, who cares? You just got to figure it out. But so always like really interested in government, always kind of like anti-authoritarian and like, oh, I don't want to be tied or owned by these people. And then when I left my job for MDRC, I did it to run for city council. So I left a really good job in New York where I was allowed to work remotely to run for city council, which was a job that didn't pay hardly anything. Like it paid $21,000 at that time. And
but you loved doing it.
But I wanted to do it.
Yeah,
I was like, I think I can help fix our city, right? And so I ran citywide in 2017, the same time as Ben Walsh ran for mayor.
Okay.
So I was basically like running at the same time. I never supported him in any way. Like first I supported Joe Nicoletti because I knew him and was close to him and all the kind of like North Side connections.
Yep.
And then I supported Juanita, who was the Democratic candidate when she won the primary. So I never supported them, which a lot of people kind of flip-flopped and didn't support, like Democrats who didn't support the Democratic candidate, they did support him.
Yeah.
And in a way, in that moment, because he decided to run without a party, right? Like he didn't do the Republican thing, he didn't do the Democratic thing.
Yep.
In a way, I thought it was bold. Nah, I don't see nothing about that guy as bold. I see him as a total wannabe coward who just like had a Republican family, knew he couldn't win as a Republican. They knew they had the media connections to build his image and to do something different. And they picked off a whole bunch of people of influence by essentially paying them in various ways, either with, oh, will you be a campaign advisor, we'll throw you some money, or oh, we'll give you a job when you're done, or a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, it all, to me, looks not bold, because the dude isn't bold. Not in any way, for this community. And like, I don't think I look at Syracuse 8 years ago and today, and if I'm not like watching TV and these fake hallucinations that they show us, if I'm just looking at reality, I don't think Syracuse is any better than 8 years ago.
Well, what's crazy is because you were in that realm, you were in that circle.
Yeah, so I did the at-large thing for 3. I was only really on the council for 3 years, and I was incredibly confrontational. I was the most
I've seen
person.
a couple of videos.
So like the videos, I was rough. No one else is rough. They make them nervous.
No,
they get nervous.
I seen the videos, the one where you took the money.
Oh yeah, I cut up the 20.
You cut up the 20.
Yep.
No.
But there was a lot of that. Like I would just, because I could do them. I'm good with numbers. I'm good on my feet talking, and people couldn't really handle it. And it's the kind of thing that in the moment everyone was like, that guy is an asshole, right? Because nobody does that. Nobody says, hey, you told me 4 and I only see 2. What is it?
Yep.
Right? And when you do that, a lot of people start getting squirmy. So it's to me, like there were some times where I would watch the videos like as a learning thing because people would be like, you're a jerk. And I would watch it, I'd be like, I don't think I was a jerk. But then a lot of the time, I
didn't see it like that.
I actually thought over time, it held value.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you watch the videos now, you go, shit, that guy was fucking right.
Yep.
He was telling the truth. It becomes obvious with time that they were lying. Right? But in the moment, there's such pressure. It's like the planning fallacy.
Yeah.
Right? It's this idea that, oh, everything's going to work out. Like right now, I'm pretty sure the mayor still says the STEAM school is going to open in September of this year. That is a delusion. Like that'll never happen.
How long he's been saying that it's going to be open?
A year? And a year? I don't know. But the timeline, I mean, this is where he's an interesting dude to fact check because he's aggressive in those state of the city kind of things.
Yep.
You could just go back and be like, so, okay, you said this, you said like in 2018 you said this, none of it happened. In 2019 you said this, what happened? In 2020 you said this, what happened? In 20, like just look at all this stuff, and instead of like the celebratory feeling that you felt in that moment of like, hey, this thing's gonna happen, judge it against what actually happened. And there's not that much, in my opinion, that happened, and there's a lot of stuff that he, in a way, kind of claims that isn't his business claiming. It's almost like part of the illusion of why people give too much credence to government. And it sounds weird when you're like, hey, you're running for mayor, but you're saying the mayor can't fix everything. Right, I am. The mayor can't fix everyone's life.
No.
Like if you're making bad decisions in your life, the mayor, no matter who the mayor is, they can't stop the damage that's coming from your own bad decisions.
Correct.
Right? So like at best, you could have a system that one tells you the truth. Hey, you're making bad decisions.
Yep.
Right? You can make better decisions. And we can be here to help you make better decisions. But we can't save you from your bad decisions. Right? And frankly, the other people in this community can't afford to save you if those are the decisions you're making.
Yeah.
Because there are people who we could save if we were smart about this. So, and that gets tricky, but you got to have like universal services that everybody gets.
Yep.
And then make them fair and be truthful to the people. Like, hey, you're doing this thing. It doesn't make any sense. And then make it like, what's the essence of city government? Really, like 2/3 of city government is public safety, right? It's just straight up fire and police.
Correct.
And so at this point, my wife during COVID became a firefighter, paramedic. So like I have a better perspective on that. And they're really the only public servants who on any given day are willing to die. Right?
Yeah.
And that really showed up a year ago when the officers, the city officer and the county sheriff got killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no elected who's showing up ready to die.
No.
Right? Like, no matter who elects me and no matter what music I listen to in the car, like, I'm not getting shot, right, on my way to work. So, or at work. And,
like you said,
that's 2/3.
Yeah, it's
that's
2/3
2/3 of the city government.
And they know when they take those positions, they know the cost on a daily basis is their life.
So I think that is a very important role.
Mm-hmm.
But to the extent, like the way Ben Walsh oversees them, I almost view him as like their PR person. So he'll guide little things and set little pieces, but he's not going on many ride-alongs, right? He's not like getting into it and like really. Anyways, like, so I don't think, on one hand, I go, we need what we have. Like, you shouldn't be cutting the police. You shouldn't be cutting the fire department.
Yep.
Like, we need the level of staffing to support things. Just like everyone else, we got to be able to figure out how to do better, right? And what does that mean, do better? And who are the leaders within the department? How do we empower those leaders to really be effective in their job? And are there kind of like administrative barriers that make it harder for them to do their job? Then let's listen and try to figure it out and change the rules so that they don't have to ignore the rules to do their job.
Yep.
Or whatever it is.
No, you're right.
So police and fire, just public safety. Public safety is one thing. Then I think it's really DPW. DPW is the next biggest thing, right? So it's streets. It's like you need safe and clean streets.
Correct.
Which the safe part has a big deal with public safety, but also has to do with like the design of the streets, the efficacy of your program to like pave and redo the streets and the sidewalks and the crosswalks and all that, and then to be clean, which has to do with the trash collection and all of it, the bulk set outs, the leaves, the just all that. I just think it doesn't look good right now. None of it looks good. And from the inside, I think there's always this pressure to never talk about the bad. And I think that prevents the positive change that we need, right? And so when, like, in a way, it's not that you're attacking someone when you tell the truth. It's that, hey, we got to acknowledge the truth so we could actually do better.
Yep.
Right? And I think there's a lot, especially in DPW, that could be done better. And really done in a way that could really empower workers more, too. Because I don't feel like the workers I listen to are really empowered or view like anything as effective. And we have access to all these resources that we don't even spend. Like, we have like $25 million in, it's like basically state reimbursements for road recon that we haven't spent over the last 5 years, because every year we underspend. And it's got a whole bunch of reasons, but it really has to do with like a lack of planning. So the Syracuse streets, whether you think they're good or awful, would definitely be better with 25 million more invested in it today, right? Instead, we're sitting on a cash pile that we got to try to spend fast, which means we'll probably get a less good deal because now we're trying to spend it all in a year, which means the contractors are all going to up their prices and all this other stuff. But you just got to be intentional and consistent, and you got to be able to say, hey, this isn't good enough, and we can do better. And so, like, right there, public safety, streets safe and clean. And then really the next biggest thing is water. Like, the city has a water fund that oversees your drinking water, right? And that's been a thing with the lead. Like, in theory, there's a new lead copper rule with the federal government that says any communities with lead lines need to replace them all. So Syracuse is one of those communities.
Okay. And
we would have basically $300 million worth of work to replace the lead lines to get rid of them all in our community, which $300 million is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So that would be like one of the biggest investments. The equivalent to like a JSCB, like the Joint School Construction Board, like an entire phase. So it's a massive amount of money that really should be used strategically to empower local people to be a part of it, to do the work,
and that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to.
That's what my focus would be. Which, like, I don't think you can tell these stories of, hey, we're here to save everybody,
and then
no, you know what we're here to do. The way we get out of poverty is to have people look at Syracuse and say, this is a place where banks can invest, where banks are willing to lend to people, and people are willing to sign on the bottom line to start a company, to hire some people, to open a restaurant, to open a hotel, to build some apartments, to make an office building, whatever. Like, it takes people getting loans. And if they don't feel safe, right, if you don't have the public safety thing, if your house is going to burn down, if the police aren't going to come, And then if the streets are dirty and out of control, like with all kinds
yeah.
of stuff,
why would I
and
want
if your
to invest?
water
Yeah.
is not drinkable, or at least perceived not to be drinkable, then why would anybody want to live, work, or play there?
Nope.
Right? They don't want to do it. So that's where I think the role government has is to focus on the things the government does, which is public safety, the streets being clean and safe, and the water, right? And then last is parks. Like parks is the next biggest thing, which in a way, many don't even go into the parks anymore because they're on their phones and they're doing this kind of, they're watching this kind of stuff or whatever. But like, you could listen to this in the park for the record.
And,
but
yeah,
like,
and watch it at the park.
You know, whatever. But even the parks, there could just be more programming. There could be better care. Like my house backs up to Elmwood Park on the south side, and little things like all summer cars pull in at night and they do stupid stuff, drugs, sex, whatever, the stuff you don't want to do in your own driveway, and then they leave all the kind of like associated litter from whatever they're doing in the parking lot. So almost every day there's all this litter, and I've always been like, why can't we just put a gate on the park entrance that drops at 10 p.m. and if you're in the park, it lets you get out. But if you're not in, it doesn't let you in. And then at 5 a.m., the gate goes up, and anybody can come in now. It would cut down on all the nonsense.
But what's hilarious, you bring that up.
It's so simple.
When we were kids, what was rule one when we went out to the park?
Come home at dark.
As soon as those lights come on,
but
you better be home.
I went to Sunnycrest every day. I don't think I could have survived if not for Sunnycrest Park. Like I went there and played basketball for 2 to 4 hours every day, all day, probably from now. Like the other yesterday when it was 60 degrees, I would have been at Sunnycrest. I would have been balling. There would have been 30 other dudes there. It would be rough. It would be whatever. You'd go home. You'd be tired. You'd go to sleep.
Yep.
Right? Now you go there, no one's there ever.
Nope. You'll be lucky if you can get a 2-on-2 game.
It's wild. It's a totally different mentality and generation, which I don't know. It just things change, I suppose. So I'm not saying like it's good the parks are going to become what they were, but there are ways to make them clean.
Yep.
And to make them appealing to at least the people who still do want to use them, and that would probably make more people want to use them. Like if they're not nasty and full of trash and condoms and all this
drugs, paraphernalia everywhere.
Then it becomes easier to do, and we can't even do. Well, I'm being really broad with the but like this mayor doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't get it done. And I was a part of the group, right? So I did 3 years as the counselor. Then the budget director retires. I'm the finance chair. I oversee budget, all this stuff as a counselor. I'm on the panel to interview the budget director. Okay. Right? I worked in the budget office in New York City. I worked doing financial analysis for 7 years. And
yeah, you were
like, anyways.
You were a little fish in a big pond in New York City.
But I come back.
And you come back, you're the big fish.
So I'm on the panel to hire the new budget director. Yeah. And 3 interviews in, I'm like, these people suck. They're awful, right? And I basically tell that to the guy who is maybe like the CFO, just became the CFO, and the chief financial officer. And he's like, well, who? And I'm like, you need somebody, and I describe somebody. You need somebody with an MPA who can do this, who's worked in a different city, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, who like that is going to take this job for like $90,000? And in that moment, I was like, here I am working for now like $30,000, so you got to pay a raise. And I'm working at MPH, teaching 4 classes, making 11, no money. Doing a little bit of like trying to buy my block. I bought a house. I bought a second house. I fixed it up. I'm doing that kind of stuff on the side, but really not making a lot of money. So I'm like, shoot, 90. I would do it, right? Because at that point I had a couple more kids. Like my wife and I together, we got 5 kids. We can spend money. Yeah. So I was like, hey, what about me? And like I went through the kind of the channels of like somebody asked, what would you think? I went through interviews, and it was a lot of like, how will you work with us when you've been such an asshole, right? And I don't know. I was kind of always like, well, I was always here for the best of the city. That was kind of like my pitch. Yeah. I mean, I think that was my pitch, and I think their pitch was like, we could neuter that motherfucker for $90,000, right? Like that fucking they wanted pitbull. Who cares? Put him over here. Get him a collar and put him on a leash. Yep. Right? And in a way, that's true. Right? So I was always kind of a black sheep on the inside. And by that, I had opinions. and kind of like the way city school kids are, I
Yeah.
try to be funny. I try to make fun of people while, like, whatever, in all the meetings. Hey, what about this? Like, point out the idiocy of the stuff they're doing while trying to, like, stay within the beacons.
Yeah.
Right?
You're just toting the
So-
line.
And the funny thing is, all these people would be like, Tim's got no filter. That dude's got no filter. I'm like, no filter. Jump in here and hear what I'm really thinking. Because I'm filtering all day long. You people live in a fairy tale. Like, what are you looking at that I'm not looking at?
Oh.
Right? And that's kind of how I felt most of the time. But there were good, bad. And in a way, like, the budget director usually historically reported to the mayor. But the mayor doesn't really have anybody report to him. He's got these group of senior leaders, these kind of like 5 people who filter everybody. So I had one of them. His name is Frank Kaliva. He was the chief administrative officer. So he oversees all the financial stuff. And in a way, he was like my collar holder, right? So he's like the guy who had to deal with me to keep me away from the mayor and to kind of like get me to do the things that they're like, oh, we're not going to do that. Don't talk about that anymore. Don't look into that anymore.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Like, and he did that in a way, and I learned to accept it, right? Like, I was like, okay, this is my role. I'm the mayor's budget director. That dude got elected to mayor. I didn't, right? For better or worse, he got elected.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So I was like, he's the one who gets to make the decisions.
Correct.
So I always honored that, right?
You were
And-
respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I do my job.
You might
And
have
there
been.
were times-
You might have been brass. You might have been bold about what.
But
you,
even that, there were
and
times where they
you-
go like, hey, that thing you're doing for your job, we don't even want to know. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
We don't want to know how much it costs because we already told somebody we're going to do it. So like, but anyways, I did it. And in a way, there were things that were good and things that were never good and things like, and over time we had sufficient trust that he actually 2 years in allowed me to run for county legislature. While I stayed on his budget as his budget director, I lost. And that was probably a bad idea. I was really spread thin, all this other stuff. But it was good, and in a way, it kind of, I felt like he trusted me for the first time when he let me do that.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, whenever a reporter would get a leak or something, they would always think it was me. And, and like, in a way, there were times where they were right. Right? But not always. Like, I wasn't always the leak. But like, I was always on the edge of trust. Right?
Yeah.
So, whatever, it is what it is. But I had run 2 years ago, and it was hard. And at this point, I love my family. Like, I'm appreciative of my family more than anything. Like, I'm going to prioritize my family over everything.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed, right? Like, I've got a loving wife, we've got great, healthy kids, and it's like the kind of thing you can build life around, right?
No.
But so I didn't really need to, like, I was like, oh, and I've kind of built a little bit of a connection with Sharon Owens. Like, Sharon Owens is one of those people, and a few years, like 3 years ago, the mayor, right after he got reelected,
Yep.
I had always thought, hey, give me API, give me the innovation people, give me this, put it in budget, do this, do that. So they end up giving me minority affairs, which on one hand, like, so they fired me for basically telling me I said something racist. But 3 years ago, I was the one white guy who they could give minority affairs to. And I had to fire, there was only 2 staff. I had to fire both of them.
What?
And they were both black, and I'm white, and I got through it, and there was a lot of slanderous shit in that. But I documented everything, and I did what no one else would do. And then I hired competent people who are also diverse and black.
Yeah.
To do the same job, and all of a sudden there are people to actually support the minority and women businesses. And then I did all this stuff. I didn't just like take it and go, okay, I'll do it. I changed the city charter, which is like the rule book. Like,
Yeah.
I changed the law. I said, okay, it can't report to the Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development, make it report to the budget director. And I did. And then I renamed it. I had the council rename it the Division of Equity, Compliance, and Social Impact. Because it didn't make sense to call it Minority Affairs. It's more than Minority Affairs.
Yeah.
Like, it's a wrong signal. But did all the work, moved them into my suite in City Hall, hired great people, had like a Bloomberg grant for equity and procurement. Because as the budget director, I'm also the procurement director. So I do all the financial planning, who gets money, where does the money go, and then I do all the how do we buy stuff, at least for the big stuff. The small stuff goes through the county. They do our small purchasing stuff.
Gotcha.
But all the big things, big construction projects, big professional services are run essentially by the procurement director. So I did all that, and I was good at that. I was good at all of it, right? Like, I was a very proficient budget director. It was like I was political enough that I knew all the people. Like, I had been political. I know everyone on the council. I know a lot of people in the community. I have the relationships. I'm of the community, right? I know all the schools. I know all the stuff. I've lived in other places, so I actually have some check on the localism, right? Yeah. And I was good, and universally good. Like, my staff loved working for me. Most of the people, even when I was a pain in the ass, appreciated me because they knew I was doing my job for the city. And then really, it all began to fall apart November 6th of last year, when really I was just having a regular day. It was like a Wednesday, and we have a department head meeting, which is like 30 people go with the mayor, and all the department heads are there. And we do this meeting where everybody gives an update and talk about the big picture shit. Anyways, I go back to my office, and one of my equity, compliance, and social impact people, so the assistant director of that division, is out on paternity leave. So he's not there. So
you always have these jobs where people are always on paternity leave.
So on November 6th, paternity leave is a good thing. Go be a dad.
Go be a dad, yeah.
Get the chest to chest, skin on skin.
I did that 3 times, so
worth it every time. The most contact, dude. My kids are in my bed every night. Is what it is. But I wouldn't change any of it. That's the best thing. That's the reason. That's the thing that gives you the will to do all the work you got to do, the will to make yourself better.
Yep.
And whatever. It's
because at the end of the day, we don't really do this for us. We do this for them.
And that's why people who don't have anything to do it for, it gets weird.
Yeah.
Because what are they doing it for? And at some point, they don't need to do it for themselves.
Nope.
So it's hard. But anyways, at that point, I was pretty happy not to be running. And I thought I had a pretty good relationship with Sharon Owens. So I'm like, hey, I'm probably in a position to probably be running a lot of stuff almost on my own.
Yep.
Right? Like, in the future. So I was supporting Sharon. Even though much of it made me cringe. I was like, oh my God, she's a bad candidate. Oh my God, I didn't know she was this close to these people. Oh my God, I didn't know she thought about things this way. Because I hadn't really worked for her. I just talked with her, passing in the hall and whatever. And I was kind of like, well, not that bad. But November 6th, that morning, Sharon and my analyst have a meeting with this woman, Susan, from Advanced IT, who comes in and she brings in a whistleblower book. And she has 4 copies of this 200-page book. Excuse me. And she gives 3 of them to Sharon.
Okay. And
she gives 1 to my analyst. So when I come back from the department head meeting, or whatever it is, my analyst gives me the book. She's like, Tim, this lady came in. She sits down. She says, hi, I'm Susan with Advanced IT. And I've been paid $1 million by the city of Syracuse. And until today, I've never stepped foot in I've never had a meeting in the building. I've never had a single Zoom. Like, I've never even had an online meeting with the city. I got paid $1 million. That's how she starts the meeting. And I'm like, what? Give me the book. Right? Like, she gives me the book. And I'm like, what? And I don't know what to make of it, right? I'm just like, what? And honestly, I take the book, and I got staff who's really good, who I trust. And I am a delegator. I work with, I'm not like an off-hands person. I manage. Yeah. But I trust the people who work for me. I'm like, here's this thing. I don't know what's in it, but it's 200 pages, and I got 4 other meetings, right? So it's like, I'm like, lock yourselves in this room, you 3, read it, tell me what's in it. And they kind of read it, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. They're like, whoa, this and that, and whatever. And at that point, it's still not like I'm like, this is weird. Oh, but that day, so when I get the book, it's a Wednesday, so I go to the council. The council has their council meetings, and my boss is always there. All the department heads are usually there, because if there's questions about an item, you have to go up and answer the questions for the council. Anyways, it was not unlike me to go sit next to my boss and say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? What about this? And answer whatever the hell questions I have for him. Yeah. So I go sit with him, and I'm like, Frank, this lady just came in talking fraud with whistleblower on an EY contract. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. She's saying MWBE fraud. And I oversee all the MWBE stuff. I'm like, MWBE. I was like, this contract, like when I got it, the thing that made no sense, she's saying MWBE fraud. I'm like, this contract doesn't even have an MWBE goal. So why would anybody commit fraud to achieve a goal that doesn't exist? That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, because I know the rules really well. I probably know the rules better than anybody else in all of city government, right? So the moment I read it, I'm like, this is not MWBE fraud. But I'm like, but it doesn't make sense that this lady got paid $1 million without ever doing anything.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. So I go to Frank and I say, this lady's saying MWBE fraud, and it doesn't make any sense because the contract doesn't have it. And Frank is a liar, dude. He is the guy who got put there to neuter me, right?
Correct. So
and I've had nothing.
Hold you back.
Well, I've had good and bad times with him, but a lot of conflict to the point that we yell at each other fairly often because I'm like, you're a lying piece of shit. Right? That's kind of how I viewed him. And a lot of people did.
Yeah.
A lot of people viewed him in that way who worked for him. Most people viewed him that way. So anyways, he tells me right there. He says, well, I'll tell you right now and I'll never tell you again. And if you ever get me to tell again, I'll fucking never say it again. I'll lie. But it's definitely not MWBE fraud. The truth is that EY called me and said they had a non-compete with Oracle and that they couldn't do above a certain dollar amount with the city of Syracuse, so they need a pass-through vendor. And I accommodated them, and while that might not make sense in retrospect, it is what it is. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's not MWBE fraud, it's like some weird corporate fraud.
Yeah.
Right? So at that point, like, forget the book. The book is a whole bunch of stuff. You know that thing with the elephant, and it's like, we're all touching the elephant and we're all blindfolded and you're touching the trunk and you think it's a snake and I'm touching the body and I think it's a wall and somebody else is touching the foot and they think it's like a turtle. I don't know. Like we're all touching. This lady is touching something. She's touching the trunk and she's going snake, right? And I'm touching something else and she goes snake and I go, it's not a snake, lady. But what you're saying is not wrong and that's interesting because all the shit you said I didn't know.
Yeah.
So now I know, and now I know what she knows and what I know, and then Frank just happened to tell me what he knew, which was like the whole shebang. So then right then, I go, this is fucked up, right? So I'm a little more gassed up, and then, but still, I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't know, I still don't know. And this is where now I've learned a whole lot over those months, right? It took months to figure it out, but, and for context, like one of my most confrontational meetings with Frank, my boss, was in October, early October of last year, so a month before this lady shows up. EY, Ernst & Young, comes. He invites me to a 2-day conference.
And just for context,
basically, EY is a big company, a global conglomerate who does, really, they do audit things, but then they also have consulting. So the audit companies are not allowed to do consulting for the companies they audit.
Gotcha.
So that's why they can't do consulting for a city that buys Oracle products because they want to audit Oracle. So in a way, they want to both be consultants and audit because they're greedy.
So they wanted to go around that.
So they go around it and they basically say, we'll just have a pass-through vendor. But they don't really tell the vendor, which is Advanced IT, but they don't tell her about it. Not that it would be any better if they told her about it. But she thinks she's got a genuine opportunity. It turns out not to be a genuine opportunity. Correct. And it also means that the city's paying a 10% overhead, which the lady gets a $1.8 million award. She only gets paid $1 million. But so it definitely is $100,000 of like, there's no way we need to spend this money. Right? Like we're literally paying just to pass through to accommodate a private company's restriction. Like,
so she's getting money doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, she got money. And then she becomes the whistleblower.
Yeah.
So the lady who got paid $100,000 to do nothing is narking on the whole thing. So it's like, and then everybody goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense if she's like, I don't want to be involved in this fraud.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So she doesn't want that money. She doesn't want anything.
She's being brave.
Yeah.
And she's doing the right thing.
Yeah. She doesn't. Like this is not the way she operates.
So in a way, it takes a long time, but there's all of this cover up, and I go through it all. Like I'm exposing it all. Me and the CFO, who's also a Black Knight, and went to Henniger after us, but. And it ends up, it's like at that point we're on pace to spend we've spent $10 million on this project. And I'm like, $10 million? How the fuck do we spend $10 million on this? It doesn't make sense. But it's like over a life cycle of multiple years. So it gets confusing. It's really in the weeds. I know it all, but it's not going to be entertaining for anyone. But but the point is, like, we were supposed to get a new payroll system. So imagine you got a company, you want somebody to do your payroll. So the city has 11 employees. We need to do the payroll. And it turns into this ridiculous professional service contract. So we actually got a state grant for $2 million to do the payroll thing, which I had been a part of. Like, when I was in the council, I said apply to this financial review board and try to get this grant to get a new payroll system. And we got it. We got $2 million. And then we end up wasting the $2 million with the first contractor. And they basically give a product that doesn't work at all. So then instead of admitting, Frank, the guy who's my boss, instead of admitting that the project didn't work, he just starts getting waivers. So he should have really gone and done a new RFP and had new companies come in and give new bids. But instead, he would have had to admit kind of like that the project didn't work. So instead of that, he says, everything's okay, but we need a waiver to do a little bit more. Right? And the little bit more is like $8 million on top of 2. So it's kind of like, well, don't you think you should, if you're going to spend $8 million, you did a competitive process for $2 million, but you just keep going with waivers with a company that didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it gets real fishy and confusing real quick. Long story short, the lady narcs on EY and the city because she's like, this doesn't make any sense. And so the truth is that EY couldn't do the work because wouldn't have been able to do the work if they had it on their books. So they recruit the vendor, lie to her, Frank lies to her, the city and EY collude, and they give her the contract. Like, when this lady gets the contract, 30 days after she gets the contract, she gets a check for like $725,000. And her whole thing is just pass it to EY. She's done no work, 30 days in, here's $725,000. Like, none of it makes sense, but they just assume she would shut the fuck up because she's getting $100,000. And like, whatever. But this is where the MWBE space is riddled with fraud. So it's almost become accepted in a lot of ways. Like, I think Republicans talk about that nationally, like this doesn't make sense. They talk about it from different angles, but there's a lot of gaming that occurs in order to achieve subcontracting goals when there aren't a whole lot of subcontractors in the space.
Yeah.
But this is not even any of that. This is like a totally different, like, this is a big corporation saying, hey, we want to do that work for you. Pass it through a different company for us and do a non-competitive thing. None of it makes any sense.
No.
Like, I don't know if Frank got rich on the side, but I would look at his bank account first.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, somebody's pockets got laced.
Like, that's what at this point
at the
I'm
end
like,
of the day,
to me they didn't. But even if they didn't get laced, they still stole our money.
Correct.
So like, if you're so stupid that you think just because you let the corporate people take all the money instead of keeping it for you or your family, if you think that's any better, shame on you. And that's what I think Ben Walsh thinks. I think Ben Walsh was, well, I didn't take any of it, so who cares? I won't fucking care. I care as a taxpayer, as the fiduciary, the guy who has to sign these things and say that we honored the process and we're honoring people's money. I care. And that's where I get pissed about Sharon, because Sharon is not like a fiduciary person. The deputy mayor, is not in the city charter. It doesn't exist. So when he gets elected, he can bring her up on stage. He can have her put her hand on the Bible and swear an oath to the city or whatever. But at the end of the day, she's not in the city charter approving contracts, right? Yeah. It's me and the CFO and a couple other people. Like, it's not a lot of people who can enter into agreements. So when the people, so that's where she doesn't have an oath. So when she gets 3 copies of that book, what does she do with it? She does nothing with it.
No.
She just sits there, she just gives it to the lawyers and say, look at it. And this is part of the problem, is the lawyers, like the corporation counsel, people are like, oh, she's the city's lawyer. She's the mayor's lawyer. Okay? Like, that might be an inside baseball thing, but she's hired and fired by the mayor. She defends the mayor's interests. So if the mayor says, make this shit go away, her job as a lawyer is to make the shit go away. It's not to tell the truth. Right? So, in my opinion, she definitely did a fake investigation. They tried to steamroll me. It didn't go as they thought. I held my ground. Frank fell apart under pressure and ended up having to leave. But then they would never tell the truth. So even when Frank left in late December, and they announced he was leaving right before Christmas. And then he leaves January 2nd. But they don't want to admit anything wrong. Oh, nothing wrong here. Everything's fine. Frank's just going to do consulting. What? I'm just like, this shit doesn't make any sense. So, like, long story short, I eventually kind of give the book to the city auditor and the pro tem of one of the city councilors. So, because I'm like, this shit needs to be out there. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have and I'm fucked. And frankly, me sharing the book and really just pushing the fraud, just me pushing to the extent that Frank had to leave, and then being like, this still doesn't make any sense. It's still like, you just have him disappear. What if he stole $2 million?
I know.
You just let him go? Oh, it doesn't matter because he left?
Nobody's checking the man's boxes. Like, what's going on here?
So, long story short, all that conflict, it went from me being like considered to be a good budget director to them not trusting me at all. But long story short, the whistleblower ends up being the death of my relationship with the mayor and the deputy mayor and my boss, right? So it results in my boss having to leave. It results in me not trusting Sharon Owens at all because this lady gets the report, does nothing with it, and then when confronted with the facts, leans into all the fake cover-up stuff, tries to intimidate me the way she does with everybody else, and it doesn't work because I'm like, I don't give a shit what you do to me. I don't care. I'm not lying for none of you people, right? And so it just keeps going because they don't tell the truth. They are not open to the truth. It's like they say all these things that don't make any sense. And I think the truth is they knew about the fraud.
Of course.
But it took me like the whole time to figure that out.
Of course. I feel like
in the beginning I thought Frank was just a bad actor.
Yeah.
But no. Frank told them all the truth the whole damn time.
Yeah.
And they were just okay with it because that's how they roll. They pay people to do nothing all the time, and all the projects demonstrate it. They have city employees that don't do anything, who they don't care. It's all about your trust with them. Do they trust you? Do you trust them? When they call you, will you lie for them? That's how they define trust. And I won't lie for them, and that's why we fell out. And like all of it. So it's weird because in a way, but then I'm like, man, I can't work for Sharon. So here I am, and I'm late to the game, and I've always been saying I'm the most qualified to run if it's not Sharon. And now Sharon has blown up her ability to govern, in my opinion, because she demonstrated she's a hack. And like, yeah, I feel comfortable saying
but like
that,
you said, you're the last one to show up.
So I'm the last one. So I'm like, how can I do this? And I talked to somebody, and I've never been more stressed than I was in November and December. Because this shit is wild. It's like the more I learn, and then everyone's kind of colluding against me to cover it up, in a way, except for the CFO. He's kind of the only person I had with my back. And so it's very stressful. So like, by comparison, everyone reaches out now. Oh, Tim, how's everything going? Are you okay? Fuck you. I'm fine. Now, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But nobody gave a shit about me in November or December. Anyways,
that's when they put you on.
No, they didn't do anything to me in November and December. That's when I'm dealing with the fraud. I'm figuring it all out. I'm like, oh shit, this is not. And this like is $10 million.
And like you said earlier,
like they were there, getting ready to get another $10 million in October. That's what I was trying to start to say. They come, EY comes and throws a fucking party with executives from New York, Toronto, Kansas, New Jersey, all over the whole damn country. They got 25 people here. They bring us into the city conference hall, the conference room on the 7th floor of One Park Place. And it's just all, what can we do? Let's fix everything for the city. It's all this stupid consulting shit that people get fooled here because they never lived anywhere else. And I go, man, I know this shit. This is a fucking salesman's pitch. They're taking all our money. These people are criminals. Get them the fuck out of here. And like, that's where that week I went to Frank, this is in October, and I'm like, Frank, you're the only one who still likes EY. And that should have been he's in on a fraud with them. Yeah. Right? And
like you said earlier.
But nobody cares. The mayor doesn't care. That's how they operate. That's how he got elected. It's let's buy people off. You don't buy them for their work. You buy them for their influence, and that's it. They've done their job. So everybody's getting paid for do nothing all the time. And that's the problem. So it's normal to them to use taxpayer money to control things. And they don't pay for work or results. And that shows. It shows everywhere. But anyway, so I decided I'm going to run for mayor. And I'm like, okay, but I'm doing this quick. I'm making decisions. And I've been like, man, fuck that. I'm going to do this. But I've already demonstrated that they don't trust me anymore. Yep. Because they've like, basically when Frank leaves for no reason, right? He just leaves. They don't say it's fraud or anything else. So then I apply for his job. And that shit breaks their fucking brains. Right, but then that's when they kind of like officially retaliate against me, and the mayor tells me to my face, I'm not giving you that job because you've been insane the last couple of months. Right? And
but you've been insane the last couple of months because
of the fraud! Because of the fraud!
The fraud!
So it's like he's literally telling me you're not trusted here, and then he's got Sharon at his right hand to back him up and be like, yeah, you're not trusted here. Right? Which now I know I'm fucked for 9 years. Right?
Yeah.
Because, and it's like, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to do the same job for like 15 years. I'm just not. I'm going to do different stuff. I'm going to learn. I'm going to work. I'm going to fix things. I'm here, like, I'm always been here to fix the city. But, like, anyway, so then I start running. And I do this rhino thing. Because I'm like, I'll run as a Republican. In name only.
Yeah.
Right? Which didn't quite go the way I thought. Whatever. It definitely got me a lot of exposure. Like, it was like, all of a sudden, people still see me and they go, yo, Rhino! Right? Like, I'm still going to be Timothy Rhino Rudd, however I run. That shit's going to be on there. And, but it got a lot of attention. And I don't do any of it. Like, we don't have a TV in my house. Right? Okay. None of our kids have pads. Okay. Right? Like, I quit social media 2 years ago when I lost my race. Like, I stopped. I don't look at nothing. The only thing I use it for is Facebook Marketplace. And I don't look. I don't look at how many likes. But anyways, when I start to run, I start using it. But I don't look. I just post. And I duck out. I post. I don't look at how many likes. I don't look at the comments. I don't look at the shares. I don't look at what anybody else says. I just duck in and duck out. But I light a whole bunch of fires. I get a whole bunch of attention. And I expose the fraud. Right? Like, I blow the shit out of that fraud. Right? And in a way, I kind of think that was really what I was doing. Like, I'm like, fuck that. You're going to deal with this fraud if I have to run for fucking mayor. Right? And I got the fraud exposed by doing that. Which, so in a way, I go, whatever. But then in the end, Ben Walsh and his family, right? We know his dad was the congressman forever. And his grandfather was the mayor. And that basically means that his family sort of runs Syracuse.com in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's how you get that when you have that kind of overlap. This is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's very, like, basic shit. It's a political machine. It's the Walsh machine. And all their connected interests. And there's a lot of interests. And they're funneled through, like, Center State CEO and all of their stuff. And I don't mean to make it a grand conspiracy. It just is what it is. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's a fucking corrupt swamp. Yep. It's the same thing at a lower level. And Ben is a weak prince. He's a cute prince who, you know, aspired to play that role. And he doesn't have any, like, stomach for any of it. And he's not going to fix anything. And he's not of it, so he doesn't understand it. And he tries to be nice. He just tries to be nice. Let's be nice to everyone. But anyways, they had his family and everyone. Just like any violence, the family comes after the person who did the violence. So they come after me. And they basically... I had shared this audio. I did a recording with a mentor that was 2.5 hours long. And I talk about a lot of stuff. I talk about the fraud. Yeah. So I released the fraud part on my YouTube. It was like 70 minutes. And 3,000 people listened to it, which is pretty fucking good for a 70-minute talk on fraud. But the second half, I talk about politics. And in it, I am harsh. I am harsh toward a lot of people. And I am defensive and loving toward a lot of people. Yeah. There are people who are on my side, or I'm on their side. And I'm loving and caring and thoughtful. And there are people who I view basically as enemies. And I talk about them as such. Or I talk about them as I view them. Yeah. And like even Jimmy, I'm kind of harsh toward Jimmy in that talk. And it's not because it's just kind of like I don't view him as a serious candidate for me. That's all. But like, it is what it is. But so I decided not to release the end. And plus, I'm like, it's too long. No one's going to listen to this shit. Everyone's telling me 70 minutes is too long. But anyways, I shared the full version with a bunch of people. Because in it, at the end, I basically say, you know what I'm going to do on election night, Norm, after I win as a rhino? I'm like, I'm going to fucking re-enroll as a Democrat right then. Right? And that's what Norm laughs. It's fucking funny, right? And I'm just talking shit, right? Like, I'm talking shit, which is what people do. Yeah. So, like, and Norm's entertained and all this other shit. And I shared that fucking tape with 100 people. The 2-hour shit, right? And nobody came back at me and said, Tim, I don't know, that shit about Sharon is racist. Nobody said that shit. Because there's a part when I talk about the mayor's management style. And I'm talking about Sharon. Because a lot of people don't like Sharon. So, like, I carried Sharon's... I stacked the deck for Sharon to be mayor. I carried petitions for her. I got all these people on the Democratic committee so she could win the vote. Which she lost, but she was going to win. She was already going to win. And then I exposed the fraud, which caused her to lose the designation. Okay. So, in a way, I feel like I personally handed the Democratic designation to Pat Hogan by exposing this fraud. And I'm the one that exposed the fraud. And, But Sharon... But you want to I go door to door for Sharon with her committee sheet. And the first door I knock in the North Valley. I go, It's a 30-year-old black male cleaning his car in his driveway. I go, hey, my name's Tim. I'm with the Democratic Committee. I'm carrying petitions to get people on the committee. Will you sign? Who are you carrying for? Sharon Owens. Who? Sharon Owens. She's the deputy mayor. Fuck her. Fuck you. Get the fuck off my property. I was like, whoa. All right. No problem. And I go. But like, and then I oversee the equity, compliance, social impact. And a lot of people would say not nice things about Sharon. They would say Sharon leaves bodies. Usually black and brown. That's what they say.
Damn.
And I heard that shit forever. And to the extent I was helping Sharon, people would come to me and they'd say, you better be careful. Sharon leaves bodies. Because that's her role for Ben Walsh. Her role is to be the disciplinarian who Ben is a coward who does not address anyone with conflict. He doesn't ever come in and say, you can't do that. He has Frank, Sharon, and this other person, Corey Driscoll, Joe Driscoll's sister, do that for him. And to the extent she does it with people of color, it's often Sharon who becomes the spokesperson to deliver the bad news. So when I was on the council, I was really close to Khalid Bey, and I read one of his books. And he talks about Willie Lynch. And so I bring up Willie Lynch in this conversation. Mm-hmm. And I say how Willie Lynch is based, it's kind of ironic because Ben is farming out all these functions of government to fancy consultants because he doesn't know how to run things himself, right? So he's relying anyway. Anyways, Willie Lynch, whether he existed or not, is basically a consultant to slave owners. So when you had a slave owner who wasn't sure how to control his situation, this guy would come in and he'd give you strategies for how to control the population. And one of them is to they say you break the children by using the mother. And in a way, I said, that's what Ben does. Ben breaks the children through the mother. And by that, I mean like those middle managers and whoever he has a problem with, he sends often the women to do it, right? So there's times where it's just the woman, a white lady who does it to the white guys, and that usually works. It doesn't work for me because I don't think they know what my relationship with my mother was. I got no problem being confrontational. But and it doesn't really work. It doesn't work when they send Sharon on me either. Like in a way they did send Sharon on me to deal with me a number of times. Which is like they put me in the pot with the city school kids, so to speak. And like so I would get hit by Sharon. And if people think that doesn't exist, then believe it doesn't exist. Whatever. That was my experience, that was my view. I think there's other people who would corroborate that happens. And but in the end, the paper gets the audio and they say that I compared Sharon Owens to a slave breaker. I never use the word slave breaker at all. Slave breaker goes nuts. I mean, I don't really know because I don't look at Facebook, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing it from like my closest friends. They're going, what the fuck did you do? You're fucked. You're getting assassinated.
Yeah, they really try to put you in the box. They try to put you in the ground.
They try to declare me racist and all this shit. And so they write the article. And when you read, I read the article.
Yeah, I read it right before you got here.
Right. And when I read the article, I was like, well, when I read the article, minus the first paragraph where he says the shit, he goes, it's almost like he Googles Willie Lynch. And then it says Willie Lynch is a slave breaker. So he says, right. And then I don't know if you know how the paper works, but the journalists write it. And then the business people figure out what the headline should be. And then the business people figure out what goes behind the paywall or not. Right? So they put the article behind the paywall so nobody can read it. And then they make the headline, Rudd compares Owens to slave breaker, which is not my words at all. And it removes it from the context of a 2.5 hour very emotional conversation where I'm essentially processing all the shit that I went through about a fraud over months with the people who I've worked with for the last 7 years in various ways.
So they take
pretty much. So it's a very emotional conversation. If you listen to the whole of that conversation, there's a lot of emotion. So to isolate fucking 50 seconds and then to put the word slave breaker when it wasn't there, dude, it's slanderous. And then, I mean, the fix is totally in, and I didn't see it all coming because then I think I'm already on administrative leave. They put me on administrative leave because of all this shit. Then the article comes out because they're doing a fake. When I run for mayor, And then I become more confident. I'm exposing all the stuff and talking about the shit. So they're like, what the fuck to do with this guy? And at that point, I'm getting high fives from the security guards. I'm getting like, everyone in City Hall is like, yo, we're with you, right? So they got to do something. So what they do is they declare me a racist.
Yep.
And they let that shit go viral on Facebook and all the other shit with all the fucking people who just want conflict.
Yeah,
right? Social media is designed to trigger emotion, so all the emotional people jump on it and just attempt to bury it.
Just assassination.
And
your character and everything. It was crazy.
But that's where we've been through it so much as a country that I think everyone knows that's what they do. If you say any truth that the establishment doesn't like, they got a number of tricks they're going to do to fucking sandbag you.
Yeah.
Right? And one of them is to call you racist.
Yep.
And
that's big time.
Like, there's a lot of things you could call me, but racist is not up on the list in my opinion. But like, we live in a fucked up culture, so like, I'm also sensitive to the fact that we're all a product of this system that's very racist. So like, in a way, I'm the white guy that gets sent to all the diversity initiatives to be a thoughtful participant, right? And like, even at Henniker, like playing basketball, like I learned what it was like to be the only white person, which is an important thing. Right? Because other people have to experience being the only one of them all the fucking time.
Correct.
Right? So in a way, I had a lot more perspective that, you know, actually allows me to feel more comfortable talking about race, which is why I don't think twice about saying, like, well, Willie Lynch is this fucking thing, and it exists in management, in corporate and government structures today.
Which is
right?
facts. Yeah.
Which is like people that my professors at SU would be like, yeah, that shit is all true. Like, you're basically commenting on the work conditions in your management structure. And like, the idea that Ben wouldn't operate that way is so ridiculous. Like, look at his upbringing. Like, he didn't go to city schools. He went to West Hill. He went to one of the whitest schools in the county. And like, he grew up as part of the power structure. And he is a punk. I mean that in a cowardly way. He is a coward. He's just a nice guy who doesn't have... Syracuse doesn't need a nice guy. Syracuse needs somebody who's going to be like, yo, we got to pick up the trash today.
Yep.
Like, we got to deal with the reality here.
Correct.
You know? And there's just not enough of that truth-telling. And truth-telling doesn't need to be derogatory. Right? Like, I don't need to demean your spirit to tell you the truth.
Correct.
We can be brothers, and I could be like, well, what the fuck are you doing?
Yep.
You want to fucking die? Like, what kind of decisions are you making, bro? You got to make better decisions. You could do better. Right? And, like, we got to be able to have the love for our own community to tell the fucking truth. And Ben Walsh doesn't have that courage to tell the truth.
Because he's not from this community.
But even then, so many people don't want to hear it anyways, that when somebody tells it, they go, fuck that guy. It's not my problem, I got this problem. Like, why can't the government come and tell me, come and fix it? And then you got these idiots who try to get involved in government, who actually say the government will come and fix it. The government's not coming to fix nothing for you.
No.
Like, at best, they can just set, like, your city government can make it so, make it safe and clean and make it so people feel comfortable living, working, playing, so that investment happens.
Correct.
And then hopefully you get jobs, hopefully you get better wages. But even the wage thing, like, I often have thought poverty is this weird thing because you should be able to live pretty well without a lot of money. And that's what I've always liked about Syracuse is if you prioritize family and you work hard and you make good decisions and you're not kind of like overly self-indulgent, you can live pretty well here. You don't have the traffic, you don't have incredibly high costs of housing that they have everywhere else.
No.
Like, there's a lot of ways you can still afford, most people can afford to own a home, which is transformational in an intergenerational way.
Yep.
And like, that opportunity in a lot of ways doesn't exist in the rest of the country. So in a way we can market that and get people to live here. But we also can't have people who are just like smoking weed all day, letting the trash stack up on the outside of their house. Right? Like, at some point you gotta be like, hey, you could keep doing this and nothing's gonna change. Or you could try something else and make some new decisions and maybe things will get better. Yeah. But I don't see like, oh, Sharon's not from here either. And she's connected to all the same people as Ben. And it's all about their little power and they're the elite who run us. And so they protect their little system of elitedom. And that is like, in many ways, the slave legacy. It's like, we're all slaves now. And there's levels to it. Yep. So they give us a little more and we shut the fuck up. And then they give you a little bit more and we shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. And like, I've been complicit, right? Like, I've done better. and I've had to hold my tongue at times, but I have a limit, and I think I speak my truth more often than others. And this was one of those moments where I was like, fuck that. Do whatever you gotta do. Well, and I still don't, but the irony is all that character assassination they did in real life, I never had one person tell me something bad in real life. And honestly, strangers come up to me and they tell me good shit. They go, dude, Rhino, you exposed that fraud. Like, they tell me good things in real life. And that's where, like, I don't really know what the next path is. I know I don't, this sounds kind of greedy and emotional, but, like, I don't really want Sharon to be the next mayor. And that just is what it is. And I was on her team before I gave her $1,000, which was a lot of money for me to give.
That's what I was going to bring that up. You did endorse her.
I helped her. I was helping her. I'm in her inner circle. And then I blew it all up because I was like, you sellout. And she basically told me I had to be a sellout. She was like, you are, like, in the talk down me. She tells me with the mayor that I'm like, oh, what was the term? Self-righteous to a fault. And that my perceived love of this community undermines my, like, rationality.
What?
And she gives me a sellout talk. And she basically tells me that governing is just compromise on compromise on compromise, and you can't come here thinking you're not going to compromise. And I'm just like, fuck this. You're giving me a sellout talk. We're talking about fraud. And you're telling me I got to compromise? Like, tell the damn truth. And if you were involved, then fuck you too. But, like, if you weren't involved, then just tell the truth and let whoever did the stupid shit hang.
Yeah.
And then you fix the system. But, like, if you don't tell the truth, if you don't tell the truth, you don't get to fix anything.
No.
Like, how did this happen? It didn't happen because there was a mastermind evil genius. It happened because the system probably has some flaws in it, right? And there's no bigger corrupt actor than Ernst & Young. Like, Ernst & Young is the party of corporate greed who approaches a desperate city and says, hey, we want to fix your problem, but we can only do it if you do it in a fraudulent way, right? So, like, they are the heart of the problem. But the mayor doesn't want to admit that about anyone because then he would be kind of, like, upsetting the power structure, right? You can't throw poo at this major Fortune 500 company. It's going to make the other economic powers uneasy because they're going to, well, if they did it to them, why wouldn't they do it to us, right? So, anyways, and I reacted forcefully to it all because I was like, I'm not doing this. But even that night that Frank told me, November 6th, that the whistleblower came in, Frank told me the truth. I went home, I told my wife, and she made me call the mayor, and I called the mayor and told him that night about the fraud. And still, it's just all, from that point, it's just all cover up. And maybe I was naive to not know it right away. Like, there were definitely people like, they fucking knew the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And I had to live it, and it was very emotional and hard, but, whatever. But so they fucking assassinated my character, and now I don't really know where I stand. Like, I think it's gonna be hard for me to get another job anywhere. Because, like, that shit lives with you. They're gonna be like, you got fired for being racist? How do you explain that shit away? Right? And it's like, well, there was a fraud, and it was my boss who did the fraud, and it was the mayor and the deputy mayor were implicated, mainly because the deputy mayor was running for mayor. Guy handed all the books and did nothing.
Correct.
Right? So she is implicated by that. If she knew nothing before that day, she is guilty that. Yep. Because she did nothing with it.
Because if she like you said, if she didn't know anything, she should have went and did the right thing. And she didn't. Like you said, she took the books, gave it to the corporate lawyer, and just said, I'm done with it. Here you go. I pretty much putting the blame out to somebody else. Let somebody else deal with it.
So I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be eager to hire me in the near term. So I got to deal with that. And then I'm fortunate to have audaciously bought a number of properties on my block. Everything I own is on my block. I got no 401k. I got nothing, no stocks, no nothing. Everything I own is the 6 houses on the 200 block of Glenwood Avenue, which most other people wouldn't have bought. Right?
Yeah.
And I've done it, and I love it, and I love the park behind my house, and I market it, I work my ass off, and I'm kind of in a position where I think I can probably survive financially. I got to work my tush off, and, like, in a way, that's where my heart is. I want to fix the block. That's like, my block is a microcosm of this community, and I think if I can fix the block and sort of the neighborhood, that there's no reason I couldn't do the same thing across the whole city, right? It's genuine relationships, real work, telling truth, dealing with the problems that people need help with.
Yep.
And, like, so I'm going to do that either way. And that probably means I'm going to try to buy. But that's, like, another thing, too. It's like, will lenders even lend to me in this community where, like, a lot of things They're like, oh, that guy's fucking dirty laundry now.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe they won't. So I'm gonna have to hustle in a number of ways, but I'm still gonna do it, and I'm still gonna fix my neighborhood. I mean, make it nice. And like that's where, again, as like a big white guy, I think a lot of people, oh, gentrifying and all this and all that. Out of here. Like Syracuse is empty and hollow and to a large extent gross. And even the nicest parts aren't nice.
Yeah.
They're not sufficiently nice. Eastwood should be way nicer. Tip Hill should be way nicer. And if they were in downtown, it should be way nicer.
Way nicer.
If downtown was nicer, then the inner ring neighborhoods would be nicer. Holly Green would be nicer. All of it. Like, even South Ave. South Ave has nothing the whole way. It's like an empty James Street.
Yeah.
And James Street isn't looking good.
Nope.
It's like going to the TV studio. Like, I went to talk to Matt Mulcahy one day. Like, James Street is a disaster. It's just disgusting. And it's nonprofitville. And that, I think, would be another thing I would do running for mayor. Is I'd focus on those 5 things, right? The public safety, clean streets, clean and safe streets, safe, clean water, and kind of like housing, but parks. But then from there, I think we're addicted to poverty. And because of that, the city gives a lot of money to nonprofits. We don't need to give any money to the nonprofits because the nonprofits already don't pay taxes and they get tax-free donations or like tax-deductible donations.
Yep.
So like they already have a place. We don't need to be giving them the government money. So like in a lot of ways, I would just stop giving them all the nonprofits any kind of contracts or anything, and all the like nuisance abatement rules that they apply toward businesses, bars. Like, oh, if you have a bar and you have 3 arrests, we can shut you down.
Yeah.
I would say that with nonprofits. You're a nonprofit, you get 3 arrests at your institution for shutting you down. Like all that kind of stuff. We are addicted to the poverty in a way that makes it very difficult to have people want to live, work, and play here. Because there's too much poverty.
Yeah.
We accommodate it, and we're almost afraid to deal with it. It's like, just because you have this service doesn't mean you have to have these problems. And if you have these problems, the violence, the drugs, the whatever, in the open, we're going to shut you down.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what would happen. If you sold pancakes and this happened, we would shut you down. So we're going to shut you down until you figure it out. If you can figure out how to offer your service without the violence, without the stuff, then you can open up. But like, I think that kind of stuff has to happen. Like, I don't think Helio Health has done anything good for the North Side. It's just like there are problems in Syracuse that we just gotta get real and like not let it spill over. It's like you should be able to do whatever the hell you want in your house. But if that spills out into the street, into the sidewalk, into chaos, then there's a problem.
Yes.
And the government's gonna intervene. Right? Like, you got to be able to do your thing in private. You should have the right to do that, whatever the fuck you want to do in private. But if it spills out, we're going to come in and shut you down. I don't care if it's an apartment, if it's a coffee shop, if it's a homeless shelter, whatever it is. Like, if you can't figure out how to deal with the externalities of your service, then you're going to shut down. And I think that has to happen. I think that would be good for Syracuse. And even that, like, we throw all the nonprofits into the same boat. It's like Syracuse University gets condemned just as quickly as all these other places. Syracuse University brings a ton of money to the community. Like, there's nonprofits who kind of bring money and economic opportunity, and then there's nonprofits that bring tons and tons of problems. And I don't know, in a way, we don't need to be paying more to those entities. And I think that would help us run better services for the city itself. Like, we'd have safer, cleaner streets, safer, cleaner water, and probably better housing if we had all those things, because people would feel comfortable improving the housing. And I don't know, man. It's all, I just think the mayor lives in like a TV land that's largely fake. Like, it's all about the press releases. And when you drive around, it doesn't match the press release. Like, there's a house on West Brighton right now that I drive past 4 times a day. Oh, and it's like total drug house that has been like totally destroyed. All the windows are blown out. There's $7 General shopping carts out front. There's an abandoned BMW that has all the windows blown out and like might have been set on fire. I can't really tell. And then like there's stacks of trash and tires and like
Washington Heights.
It's, dude, Washington Heights is not that. At least you can buy a empanada.
True.
Like, what? You can't buy nothing on West Brighton. I don't know. Like, it's just like, just look at the thing. Look at the reality and tell me Ben Walsh has done a good job. Like, it could be so much better. And you has to be better by saying no to the things the government shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's all this stuff that we shouldn't be doing. And like, he's got like a whole press team. There's like 10 people who just work on press releases and the press for the mayor, which is why he can so effectively assassinate my character. But it doesn't mean he knows how to take out the trash. Like, like, I don't know. And I don't think Sharon does either. Because it's all about her trusted network. And she's going to give money and contracts to the people who are close to her. And they're not really going to do much for it. And it's going to show. And then we're going to let a whole bunch of bad actors do their bad acting. And we don't go deal with them because people are afraid to deal with them. Mm-hmm. And then the city just pays the price. And it's sad. So, like, my intention right now is, in theory, now I got to make my own ticket, my own line. But I can't do that till April 15th. So... You
got an idea?
And even that... My idea is I work my tush off the next month to get these 2 houses kind of like ready to go. So I can hopefully survive financially.
Yep.
And if I do that, then April 15th, I can start getting signatures and I can just see how it goes. Like, if I go to the door and 9 out of 10 people go, fuck you, you racist piece of shit, then I'm not getting on the ballot. And if I do that for 10 days, I'm probably going to go the same for me right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to waste my time. But if I go to the doors, like the other day, I went and I bought a desk on Facebook Marketplace. Mm-hmm. And I was going Durston Ave, right near Grant.
Yep.
And I go to the door, dude opens the door. Facebook Marketplace is almost always the woman selling something, dude comes to the door. Right? Mm-hmm. Dude comes to the door. He is like, Rhino! What are you doing? I'm so happy to see you. He goes, fuck those motherfuckers. And he just launches in. And we talk for like 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, I go, bro, I'm here to buy a desk. He goes, I don't know shit about that desk. My wife didn't tell me anything, but I'll go get her. So this dude didn't even know about the Facebook Market transaction. He just thought I was knocking his door because I'm like a politician. Yeah. But he was fucking excited. He's like, bro, this whole fucking thing is corrupt. And too many people know it. And that's where I go, fuck Ben Walsh and all those people. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. They don't see the reality. And most people that live in Syracuse, and most people that are connected to the mayor, they don't live in the city. They don't live in the city. Most of those people creating a circus online, they don't live in the city. They don't live in the city. So, like, whatever. Bring it on. Like, I think if I go to the doors, but this is where I feel like I'm on such a non-traditional candidate thing. Like, it's like, oh, how much money are you going to raise? I'm not going to raise any money. I'm going to knock doors. And that should terrify you. Right? Because, like, why do I need to spend all the money? Like, how much money should I need to raise? And how much of that money that people raise comes from people in the city? None of it comes from very little. Very little of it comes from people in the city. Mm-hmm. It comes from outsiders who are seeking influence for one reason or another. Yep. So in a way, you're probably, if you have a candidate who's smart and effective and proven to actually have the experience to govern, you probably want to take in as little money as possible. But, like, the reality is the reality, so I don't know. But, like, you're going to vote for somebody because they sent you 4 mailers? You're going to vote for somebody because you saw them do a dance on their commercial on TV? What? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it seems like you got to knock a lot of doors. If somebody knocks your doors and they seem convincing, you should give them a shot. And not for better or worse, that whole assassin, the Rhino, the fraud, the character assassination, in a way, they just spent $1 million enhancing my name recognition. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much I need to raise, because most people at least know me as Rhino right now. They know me. They recognize me now. And I was a public official before. And I did all this shit right before. Yep. So in a way, I'm like, why would I keep doing anything right when now everybody knows me now? Yep. Now it's like, who do they believe? Do you believe Ben is a little fraudster who gives all your money away to curry influence with people who he's afraid of? Or do you think I'm a racist? It's kind of like, which one do you want to believe? You think Sharon's going to do a good job after what you've seen for 8 years with Ben? Who do you want to put your chips on? Who do you think's telling the truth? And I think this is where it goes, look, there's mutually exclusive truth. There's this truth, and they aren't both true. And people are going to have to figure that shit out. Yeah. And if the people on TV are telling you all these nice things, you're going to have to ask, where do they get the money for that TV? And why are they giving them that money for that TV? And who they pay to make their little pretty ad, right? Because, like, they're not doing this. They're not low budget with 2 microphones in a house.
Nope.
No, they're doing all the fancy people shit and giving all the money to them. And you think that's what's going to fix the city? None of that shit's going to fix the city. But that's where I don't even know if people have a sense of what government could actually do. They just kind of go, well, I just want somebody nice who makes me feel good. That's what they voted for with Ben, but that shit didn't work.
But I think, like you said, this is smaller politics here. People have seen what the last 4 years brought, happened in this country.
Yeah.
To go and look at now. Look, I'm a registered Democrat.
Yeah.
Right. I voted for Trump.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I voted for RFK Jr. But nobody gets roasted like that dude. Like, that dude talks about the food system and, like, exercise and all this basic shit and how we're poisoning ourselves. And they anti-vax that dude into a fucking cartoon character. Like, the things they say about that guy makes me look like I've never been touched by the media.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, they fired me. When they called me, they fired me because they said because of racist comments in Syracuse.com. I was like, because what the fuck? I didn't even say. I was like, but
I was gonna bring that up earlier. They took that hour and something. That what you say? 2 hours.
2 hours and 24 minutes.
20 minutes, and they took 50 seconds of it. They didn't even like you said.
Worse than that.
They didn't even.
From
they
my
covered up
perspective,
everything, and they was like, you know what? He's gonna say something that we're gonna take that little snippet, and we're gonna use it. And everybody's gonna forget everything he said before that snip.
But the thing is, I think people forget everything. Period. So, like, I think they forget about the racist thing too, to some extent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're the people who were never gonna vote for me, right? The people who are trusted by Sharon, who trust Sharon in Sharon's way of trust. Mm-hmm. The people who will financially benefit if she's elected. The people who identify with having a black woman as a leader. They would have never voted for me no matter what. So, like, in a way, but they had to show their cards. Like, they all came out to attack me. So, it's just out there now. Yep. But I don't think too many of them were going to vote for me. And I think there's a whole bunch of people in this city who go, fuck all this shit. Like, the same way that people vote for Trump. The same way people go, fuck all that shit. You're, like, obviously lying to me.
Yep.
So, like, if you're lying to me, I might as well, I don't care. Trump might be lying to me too. But at least he's going to fuck with you. Right? At least he's going to disrupt the system in a way that makes it better.
Better for us.
The irony is that, like, dude, the Republican thing is insane. I really didn't see it coming that they would, like, ban me. They literally banned me from becoming a Republican again. And they threatened me with all these lawsuits and stuff because I said Rhino, Republican name only. And they told me that was an insult. And it's like, get over yourself. Like, people flip words all the time. Yeah. Why can't I be a Republican name only and that be, like, a good thing? Because the truth is, when you read in the county Republican Party, which is who banned me, they actually have values on their website, and they basically align with everything I ever told them. It's about, like, lower taxes and, like, all these different things that has nothing to do with immigration policy, which is the type of shit that they asked me that they were like, oh, he doesn't agree with the, like, let's walk around and ask everybody where they're from shit. So, like, we're gonna throw them off the fucking boat.
Yeah.
But then they ban me. It's just wild. And they're the people who don't like Trump. They're Republicans who are, like, fucking afraid of Trump. They don't like Trump. So it's like, none of it makes any sense. Like, I told them why I felt like I could be a Republican in the interview. I recorded the first, like, 13 minutes. I wish I had the recording of it all, but I don't. But I should have recorded it all. But in the second part, I talked about, well, in this most recent election, the things I heard about from the Republican Party were, one, they were anti-war. Always been anti-war. Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. They were talking about pro-free speech. I think that's really important. All this, like, censorship shit is crazy.
Crazy.
And even that, as a city councilor, I would get censored for being anti-police. They called me anti-police for just having posts about talking about the contract and the money and stuff, and then they would censor my posts for that. Like, once you open the censorship can, you're censoring everybody. So it's like, just don't do it. So that resonates with me. And then they were talking about making America healthy again with all the RFK shit. With, like, let's talk about the food. The food is clearly poison. Mm-hmm. And, like, we got to be intentional. Like, there's all these products that are allowed to be put in our foods that aren't allowed in other countries. And we should probably start thinking about our food system and the stuff we're eating and the stuff we're drinking and what that means for, like, diabetes and all these other health problems that lots of people are making lots of money on.
Yep.
And, like, have better... Those are the kind of things you need government for. Those are the things you need to say, hey, this crap can't be in the food. You can't do this way. You can't. Even the health mandates, like everybody's got to get this vaccine or that vaccine. It's a scary world to live in.
Yep.
And like that's where I think most people go, fuck that. Send somebody there who's gonna make it smaller. Because for like our whole lives, like we basically came to adulthood with 9/11, which like was a huge forfeit of our rights.
Yep.
It's like let's give in to everything because we're afraid, and we built a massive power structure around it, and then we weaponized it with technology, right? Like we gave them the power before all the social media and everything, and before like everyone had a phone, like a video camera in their pocket. Right, which changes the world too.
It changed it big time.
So, like a lot of those things that Republicans are talking about resonated with me as a Democrat. It's almost like the Democratic Party is the party that most advocates for war at this point, and they are the party that like seems most co-opted by. I mean, in a way, I think both parties are co-opted. So it's like I don't really trust any of them, and that's clear. But yeah, I just think most people in what is it? The silent majority.
Yeah.
That's like a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Most people aren't on social media screaming.
Nope.
It's a few people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people who tune in because they go, oh, this emotional shit gets me going.
Yep.
And they get addicted.
And I'm not
to
gonna
it.
lie, back when Trump was rerunning, you know, when he was rerunning against Biden, I looked at a lot of those posts, and it did trigger me of what he was doing. You know what I mean? Not looking at the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's easy to trigger. We live in a very triggerable land. But like even Biden's so old, it was like clearly something's wrong.
But at the end of the day, when you see what happened in the last 4 years compared to the 4 years Trump had, compared to Biden's, it was night and day. So it's like at the end of the day, you can't be triggered.
You can't.
By
but this is
everything.
The point is
anything
like
somebody does or says.
They're clearly lying to us.
Yeah.
They're lying to us so much. It's hard to know which are lies and which aren't.
Yeah, true.
Because they're clearly mixing truth with lies in order to make it hard to know which is the lies. And that I think is at most levels. And sometimes I think it's not even ill-intentioned, because I do view just Ben, the mayor, as like a coward. So I see most of the corruption and problems being a function of his cowardice, right? And just inability to stand up to people, to ask critical questions. And you're really there to ask those questions on behalf of the people. Hey, what are you putting in the water? Hey, what are you doing to the pipes? Hey, what are we talking about with the house lead poisoning? What is it? What are you going to do to the trash? I don't know. Like, ask basic questions on behalf of the people. And nice people don't do that.
Yeah.
They just go, oh, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. No matter what.
Sometimes
you're not doing a great job.
Nobody wants to call him on his bullshit.
Comes to what we talked about. Yeah. We're going to talk about SU. SU. Like, I watched that game last night where they win. They're up 16. And they're up 16. And I'm like, man, they're going to lose. Like, this is a game of who wants to lose more.
Yep.
And the announcers are talking about how great everyone. Oh, Syracuse has such energy. And like JJ, I love JJ because he's like Syracuse born, brave enough to come here and deal with people who are all curmudgeonly. Dude, I love that dude. I remember watching him. Corcoran and Beeville played in like the sectional title at OCC right before the COVID shutdown. It was like the last event before the whole world stopped. And my kids, we all went, we watched. Chris Reeves, remember him from Vinegar?
Yep.
His son De Jour was on the Corcoran team that beat Beeville, but JJ was on the Beeville team and he was like a sophomore. Yeah. So I think it was his last game with them because then he went to prep school or whatever. Maybe he was even ninth grade. I don't really know. But he was nasty. It was like watching him. So in a way, I love that dude. Like I believe in that dude. And I think like, but then there's things that I watch. Like I watch him shoot free throws and I'm like, dude, he's got the ugliest free throw of all time and he's not making them. And it's not that I want to be critical of him. It's that, like, I just think can be so much better. And the announcers last night, JJ Starling, had a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. He just dribbled the ball off his foot 3 minutes ago. Then he had, like, the pass to nowhere. Then he missed 4 free throws. And it's, like, great game. I mean, he is keeping them in the game, but he could play better. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Angel Reese crap. You know, the woman, you know, she... I'm not saying she's a great rebounder. Okay? I'll give you that. She's a great rebounder, but she can't score to save her life. And every rebound that she picks up offensively is all for her misses. So it's kind of like what you're saying. Oh, she's having a great game. Yeah, she's not. In reality, those stats are looking horrible.
But it was both teams were looking horrible.
Yeah.
Even the game before went to double overtime, right? Because I went to my dad's house with my kids because I was going to watch it there. And then I was like, I'm not going to watch any of this game because it's going to start too late.
Yep.
Which is what happened. I had to go home because Steve and I tried to watch on my phone. But the game before Cal, one of the guys they were talking about doing good, this blonde-haired dude, and they show his highlights. They show 3 highlights in a row. Each highlight was him missing a shot, getting the rebound, and making it. All of them. Every single time. He missed his shot, got the rebound, and put it back in. Which I'm like, that's hustle. That's grit. That's something. But
you went from...
but you could do better. You could have made the first... Like, I don't know. Like, it shows heart. It shows something. But it's just like, the absence of criticalness makes kind of the commentary less meaningful.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I see in city politics, is people are afraid to be truthful. Mm-hmm. And like, I think there is an avenue to be truthful. And from what I know, I don't think anyone else is going to be very truthful.
No.
So like, I think there's this big opportunity to just be the truth teller who gets attention and gets absolutely roasted by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And you just accept it.
Yeah.
The same way that Trump gets roasted by a whole lot of people, and he's in the White House. He just goes, whatever,
every Saturday,
it is what it is.
Every Saturday on Saturday Night Live, he's getting roasted. And he loves every moment
all
of it.
the people, like, nobody, I don't think anybody really wants to talk to me right now. Like, I think if we played a game and I called people to be like, hey, who wants to go to coffee with me at a coffee shop?
Nobody wants to be seen.
I think they'd be like, nah, I can't do it right now, right? It's my inner circle people who still love me and go, you're in a good spot. You're okay. Or, like, we love you. Yeah. It's okay. Right? Like, it pays to have friends from fucking 6th grade. Yeah. Right?
100%.
And,
because that circle is never going to leave you. Point blank and period.
Not at all.
It's the same with me. I'm 42 years old. I've had a group of friends, 5 of them, I could count in my hand, that I've known for 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years. Not a lot of people could say that.
Yeah.
So I could commit a murder right now, and I know at least 4 out of those 5 would be like, it wasn't Will.
Yeah. But see, now in a way,
that one would be like, it's a possibility it was him.
Now in a way, I value that a lot, but at the same time, dealing with that shit in a court, like in a government structure, it annoys the shit out of me because I'm just like, you're not here for that. But I get it in your personal life. I love it. But so in a way, I just keep my circle small, and I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna go see. But when I go to buy a desk, and somebody's like, "Yo, Rhino," and they're legit excited.
Yep.
It's kind of like, man, fuck all these people who are telling me I'm destroyed.
Because you're not.
Like, I'm not. And all that impossible shit, like, no, I'm possible.
What they say is, they say bad press is good press.
I know. That's it.
That's it.
Like,
at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Before the racial hit, I got coffee with Joni Mahoney a couple times, and she was loving all the shit.
Yeah.
Loving it all.
Yeah.
Right? And even one of the last, she's kind of not been responsive lately, which is fine. But
it's because she doesn't want to be tied into it.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's dangerous. I get it too.
Yeah.
I get it too. But even she was like, well, you're dominating the fucking news. Which is funny because I don't watch none of the news.
No.
Right? I got no TV. I don't do it. My family doesn't do it. We're immune to that shit. But I do recognize that I have more recognition and name recognition now, which is a dangerous thing for them. No,
they
should be afraid of
what they
should
have done is done nothing.
Done nothing. Done nothing.
If they would have done nothing, everything, it would have been for nothing. And what they did was they lit a fire under you. Point blank and period. That's what they did.
And that's where I think they want me to just become afraid.
And you can't.
And I just don't want to. I want to keep... That's where I just got to do this stuff I need to do on my houses to be able to financially survive.
Yeah. And
just be like, it costs me nothing to spend a month knocking doors to get signatures.
No.
And if I get the signatures, then I keep going. I figure it out then. And if I don't get the signatures, then it means it was harder than I thought because people believed more than...
You see, if I lived in the
you're in the just the beyond. Though.
Yeah, if I did, I would be like, yo, throw all your shit on my lawn. I don't care.
But there's a lot of people like that. The other day, I was just picking up trash on my block. Just picking up trash. This dude rolls up. He's like, yo, are you Tim? He's like, I fucking love it, dude. He goes, burn it all to the fucking ground.
And sometimes that's what you need to do.
I know, but that's where, in that moment, I was kind of like, man, is it worth me having this stranger be all amped up about the shit I'm doing while I'm like imploding financially?
No, and
so there's like this balance.
It's like, but it makes it makes you feel a little bit better when somebody is like they see.
But you're not alone.
Yeah,
definitely not alone.
That's
what I try to tell people. But that's the hard part because we're so separate in our universes, right? Like I'm sure there's a lot of people who, when you say you voted for Trump, They go, fuck you, I can't talk to you anymore.
You know what's funny? If I would have voted for Trump in 2020, they would have said, fuck you, I'm not talking to you anymore.
But now
they're like, yeah. And you know what? The big one was...
nobody believes anything, dude. That's what I think. Nobody believes nothing.
My mother was a big one, too. My mother's a Democrat, big time. She loved Obama. She loved Bill, Al Gore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when Kerr ran that 1 year against Bush, she voted for Kerr.
Kerry.
Is it Kerry?
He was
Kerry,
awesome. Ketchup salesman.
Yeah, the Heinz guy.
Yeah, I know. They had him right, the Heinz leader.
So she liked him too, but when 2020 came,
but dude, there's just so many lies.
Yeah, my mother at this time around, my mother was like, "Yo, I'm done. I'm done."
Lies. Because the only reaction to the lies that's rational is to say make the government smaller.
Yeah.
And the Republicans happen to be the ones. They're also liars. But and maybe they don't even always make the government smaller. But at least there's like a attempt at maybe making the government smaller. And then you kind of, like, there's a point at which you go, I think this government might be actually not acting in my interest.
And that's what I'm seeing right now. What you talking and you breaking everything down, right? Because I don't see it like that. I didn't see the breakdown that you gave us, but seeing the breakdown, I could see that there's no hope in sight. At the end of the day, with this administration, there was really no hope in sight.
I don't know all the numbers by heart, but like when Ben Walsh got elected, it was like 25,000 people voted. That was a big number. Mm-hmm. It was like a lot of people voting. Yeah. And then I think when he got reelected, I think it was much lower. It was like closer to 20, maybe even below 20. Well, so let's say 25,000 people are going to pick the next mayor. Mm-hmm. So if you get a bunch of people on the ballot, if you have, like Sharon, in theory, she has the Working Families Party, which is nonsense, but whatever, she might be on the ballot and she might have some money because she's in the Walsh machine. Yeah. So she, even if she doesn't get the Democratic Party thing, let's say she doesn't get it. So she's on the ballot as the Working Families. Mm-hmm. And then let's say Hogan or Chol get the Democratic designation. And then there's a Republican running now. And then let's say I ran. Mm-hmm. That's 4. So the Republican dude never gets anything because he's not going to be the best candidate. And then Sharon could get, I don't know, 20, 40%. Chol or Hogan could get 20, 40%. But somebody could win, and I could get 20, 40% depending how it went, or depending who won, and depending on what kind of truth came out, and all this other stuff, how hard I'm able to work, how hard other people work or don't work. But you could become the mayor with like a third of 20,000 people, which is like 7,000 people. Yeah. So like all you gotta do is get like maybe like you might be able to be the next mayor with 7,000 people voting for you, which is like pitiful and funny, but it's kind of like, well, why not go for that? Like I think if I got, this is just simple math, but if I got 100 signatures a day, which is a lot, that would be a lot a day. If I did that for 30 days, I have 45 days to do it. If I did it for 30 days, that'd be 3,000 signatures. Right there. 3,000. That's in a month. Yep. Right? 45 days. So then I'm done the end of May. So you got June, July, August, September, and all of October. 5 months. So if I were crazy enough to do that the whole time, you could knock like 15,000 people's door. Yep. But this is where they would be like, that's not enough. You need to be on TV. You need to be on all sort of shit. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. Maybe I could just do all the jump into, and I think I could be better at social media. Like I've never like leaned into it.
Yeah, and maybe
like,
that's what you
all the shorts and shit, dude. Because one of our friends, I'm not gonna put him on blast for purposes, but somebody from our class in Henniger who I'm very close to. He's just like, you gotta do the shorts. Nobody's listening to this. Nobody's reading your fucking 200 words. Nobody's listening to fucking 70 minutes. You gotta have these 2-minute clips of you just railing them. And I think I could do that all day, bro. I'm set up for that. Like all the Henniger humor and shit. Yep. I know how to roast people. I know how to be funny. I know how to be fucking mean. Yep. And I know how to be nice. So like, I could, and then there's like no limit now. It's like a fucking, there's no, like I was talking to my neighbor, because my neighbor is just, I'm like, bro, what do you watch a lot of these short videos and shit? Oh, all day. Yeah. All day. And I'm like, well, what's the, like, how many do I do? Like 1 a day, 2 a day? He goes, I don't think there's no limit. No. Dude, imagine I'm into that shit. I'm just walking around knocking doors and I just like record, and I behind a fucking blown out fucking drug house that's whatever. This is Ben Walsh right here. Look at what Ben Walsh does right here. He doesn't do shit.
Nope.
Right? I could just talk shit all day about something, and I know all the shit.
And
like, I've been roasting them internally for all the time. So, like, it's just me telling the truth. I could probably get more famous than I am. Not that I want to be famous.
No.
I really don't want to be
You
famous.
just want the votes.
I just want the votes.
You want the votes.
But then, and if you knock the doors and you get them talking about you, at least they're talking about you. They're that rhino motherfucker. And then it becomes, well, one of them's lying.
Yep.
And who's lying? Look at the skin in the game. Look at the way it went down. Look at who did what when at any level. And just go with who you believe, if that's what the case. Because there's liars and there's truth tellers and nobody's perfect. But fuck, there's definitely a point where you go, I can't, this person's a fucking liar. And like, they can't be a leader. At some point, you've compromised yourself. And in a city with all the problems that we have, you got to tell the truth. Because if you're not going to tell the truth, you're never going to get the change. That's the problem. That's my biggest problem. You can't have a liar be the mayor of the city because nothing will get fixed. They'll just lie to you about fixing it. They'll tell you it's all good. They tell you it's all good right now.
Yep.
No, it's not all good. And it could be better. We got to do better. Absol, play that song.
I play it.